Alicia, can you just let me know when it's okay to start, or Lindsay?
Morning. You
Good
should be
morning.
okay to start now.
Wonderful. Good morning. It is October 23rd, 2024, and this is the Committee of Adjustment hearing. My name is Barbara DeBreen, and I am the chairperson of the Committee of Adjustment, and I call the meeting to order at 9 a.m., 9:01. The committee members include members of council. However, we sit at this table as the Committee of Adjustment and not as members of council. However, our jurisdiction lies solely with matters of consent and minor variance applications. The secretary of the committee is Alicia Milne. This is a hearing to consider applications for minor variances and consents within the Township of Southgate and is held under the provisions of the Planning Act 1990. This hearing will be in accordance with the Provincial Planning Act, the Municipal Act, and the Township of Southgate Official Plan. Can I get confirmation of the agenda from a mover and seconder, Brian and Joan? Be it resolved that the committee confirm the agenda as presented. Any opposed? I note that members Jim Ferguson and Jason Rice are participating by phone, so would you please let me know if you are opposed or well, I guess I'm going to have to go in favor. Because I don't see your hands. I don't see you visibly. There you go. Good morning, Jason.
Morning. Madam Chair, are you
yes.
asking who's in favor or who's opposed?
I'm just going to, now that I have Jason in view, I can say any opposed. And I don't see any hands. And I can't hear Jim, so I'm not sure. Are you there, Jim? That is carried. Declaration of pecuniary interest. Seeing no hands, we can declare it at any time should something arise throughout the meeting. Are there adoption of a minutes? Can I get a mover and seconder to approve the previous meeting held on September 25th, 2024? Jason? And Joan? Any opposed? That is carried. I will ask anyone speaking about an application to state their full name and address for the record. Please keep all remarks relevant to the consent or minor variance application before us, as the Committee of Adjustment has no jurisdiction on any other matters. Any materials submitted to the committee for viewing will remain the property of the Committee of Adjustment and will be available for public viewing in the application file and may be placed online. Good morning, Monica.
Good morning.
Please direct all remarks and questions to the chairperson of the committee. This will enable the hearing to be conducted in an organized manner. The first file is A924, Jamie and John Allen. The purpose of the minor variance is to allow construction of a dwelling on an existing lot with a 2.1 meter minimum front yard setback from Cedar Lane, 1.8 meter north side yard, and a front porch that projects 1.8 meters into the front yard. The zoning township bylaw requires a minimum front yard of 7.5 meters and side yard of 3 meters, while section 5.1H permits a 1 meter maximum unenclosed porch projection into a required yard. The effect of the minor variance would be to reduce the required front yard by 5.4 meters and the required north side yard by 1.2 meters, while increasing the maximum porch projection into the front yard by 0.8 meters so that the detached dwelling can be built on the existing lot. The location of the subject land is Plan 815, Lot 4, subsection of Concession 1, Egremont Lot 4, Geographic Township of Egremont, Township of Southgate. No civic address has been assigned at this time. Is there a request for deferral or withdrawal of the application?
Through the chair, there has been none received.
Wonderful, we can proceed. May I have clarification that the sign was posted?
Yes, Chair DeBreen, I would clarify this application was originally circulated for the September 25th Committee of Adjustment meeting, where notice was posted and circulated accordingly with the Planning Act. At that meeting, the committee approved a recommendation to defer the application, and per the Planning Act, no further notice was required to be given. There was one member of the public who had shown interest in the application, and as a courtesy, she was advised that it was being brought back at this meeting.
Wonderful. Thank you for that clarification, Alicia. I will now ask the planner, Bill White, to review all comments received and present his staff report. Good morning, Bill and Victoria.
Good morning. Pleasure to be with you today. As was mentioned, this was previously circulated for committee and deferred at the request of the applicant. Comments were received from various agencies, including County of Grey, MTO, Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority, and Public Works. County of Grey reiterated certain sections of their official plan. They generally had no concerns with the application. The county ecology group identified some sensitive areas on the property, which are generally at the back of the lands. MTO have reviewed the application, and we did, interestingly enough, get comments for this proposal, and they're just saying that a building and land use permit will be required for the subject lands, and they will require a site plan, grading plan, drainage plan, and site servicing plan for their review. Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority, they commented on the application. At the end of the day, the recommendation is that it's generally acceptable to the Conservation Authority, that it complies with the provincial interests identified under the Conservation Authority Act and Section 3.1 of the Natural Hazards Policy of the PPS. And it's consistent with county and township policies for natural hazards. In terms of the staff reports, Public Works comments. They do not identify any need for road widening. They believe there's safe access to a public street. It is a load restricted road, and the wellhead protection areas are not applicable in this case. Probably best just to move right to the supplementary report that was provided. It summarizes the application in a general way. At the September 25th meeting, the applicant requested this deferral. There were some issues related to the design that the builder wanted to review with the applicants, and they have resubmitted, and I believe I saw Cuesta Planning on the call, and they can reiterate what had happened from their perspective. Our recommendation is that the committee consider an amended approval, and I'll get into that very briefly as we go forward. It's the same recommendation that we had prior to the deferral being requested. I believe that the application, that the changes that the applicant made since the deferral are in line with our recommendation to you. Specifically, the front porch that was shown to be within 1.2 meters roughly has been moved back on the property. There still is a front porch proposed, but it would be within the 2.1 meter front yard setback that was requested. So our recommendation is that 2 of the 3 variances be approved. The first is that the porch projection not be permitted within the 2.1 meter front yard setback. The second minor variance to be approved would be on the north side yard, which reduces it to 1.2 meters instead of the required 3 meters. The three conditions we're recommending on that, again, was no porch projection, which I believe the applicant has amended their site plan to accommodate. And that the attached garage for the home is set back 0.5 meters from the front building face. So the garage would actually be a little further back than the house. Because this is a house on a cul-de-sac or a curved front lot line, setting the house, the garage back would leave room for parking in front of the garage. And also that there be a full 3 meter setback on the south side and a parking space beside that home. So in addition to the garage and in front of the garage, there would be a parking space beside the garage. That basically ensures that there will be no parking overhanging onto the cul-de-sac or the township portion of the road allowance. We believe that is in keeping with what the neighborhood would tolerate and what the site tolerates. It does slope at the back, and the natural areas are on the property as outlined in the County Ecology and the Conservation Authority letters. And so the idea of moving the home forward and the septic system forward to be out of those more hazardous parts of the site is supported and recommended. So we believe on that basis, the proposed variances can be considered minor, desirable for the appropriate development and use of the property, and to maintain the intent and purpose of the township official plan. So we're recommending an amended approval with the variance to allow the porch projection into the 2.1 meter front yard being denied.
Thank you, Bill. Were there any comments received from the public?
There was one landowner, if I may, through Madam
Alicia's
Chair.
unmuted if you want some help with that, Bill.
Okay.
You can go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, there was one landowner who was monitoring this. They did not submit formal comments to the committee, as far as I understand it, unless the Secretary Treasurer has further correction on that.
She actually did submit documentation this morning, multiple files. From my brief overview, without interpreting her comments, they are just showing dimensions of the lot sizes on Cedar Lane. It appears to be a copy of a survey, and then just some imaging taken surrounding the property. I will get them all combined and sent to the committee and posted online. The neighbor had voiced that she was going to attend the meeting and speak to the comments, but she has not joined the meeting, and I don't want to interpret her comments any further, but they have been received this morning before the meeting.
So to that point, the comments have been received, but we're at this time unsure of the nature of them. As you said, you don't want to interpret her comments. Where does that leave us in moving forward with the file?
I think the majority of the comments were measurements, like Alicia said. She can share her screen and put them up, but I see Ken's turn his camera on. Maybe he has something to add.
Thank you.
If I may, Chair Dubreen, through you to the committee, it's really up to the residents to make their comments and intentions clear. I haven't seen these comments, so I've asked Alicia to send them to me, and if it's easier, she can share her screen so that we can see them. I think the committee has to make a decision as to the value of those comments one way or the other. You have a valid application that has returned for consideration. You are subject to timelines under the Planning Act. So I can't really provide you any more guidance other than it's probably best to see what was submitted and then weigh the relevance as to whether or not it changes your perspective on the application. The other thing to consider as well is that where this application was before you a month ago, if there were concerns of significance, they could have been submitted at the previous meeting. The fact that they've come, basically this morning on the doorstep of this meeting, one has to ask the question, why weren't they submitted earlier if they were that important? So I think that's going to be part of committees sort of figuring out what you want to do.
Yes, thank you. It's unfortunate that they've come so late and the planners haven't had an opportunity to review them to determine, the nature of them. It could be, just making sure that the lot lines are not encroached upon, but we'll carry on, and maybe the resident will join before the end of the meeting.
I'm happy to share my screen. It is a 30-page document.
Wow. Okay.
The majority of which are
photos.
of the streetscape and the houses that are there, and maybe
But
just
I am happy to share my screen and I can slowly scroll through it.
maybe just that first document, Alicia, is the majority of the comment.
Yeah, maybe the commentary might be helpful.
Is that showing there now clear
Yes.
enough, or would you like it zoomed in?
No, I'm finding it fine.
Okay.
Okay. So these are all the addresses. Unless I hear stop from any member, you can carry on, Alicia.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So I still don't see any objection.
That's what I was trying to say, Chair Dobreen. It's mainly just like without her here to provide context to the comments, we didn't receive any other context to them. So it's mainly looks like just measurements of the side and back and front lot lines and frontages. And the rest is photos of the street view. So
Mhm. Could you go back to that photo, Alicia, please?
This one or
And the next, the one up. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I believe these pages are duplicates of what we already saw
Yeah.
previous.
Mhm. Yep. Got sent through
And then
twice.
It's
Yeah.
just landscaping photos of the area.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
That is all that was
Okay.
received.
Okay, well, we'll carry on. Is the applicant in attendance? I see Genevieve is here from Questa Planning. Would you like to elaborate and present your case on the file? Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Genevieve Scott from Questa Planning. And with me as well is Ms. Alexandra Ferrier, who is the partner of Ashley Ferrier, who will be the builder of the proposed dwelling. And if I can't answer anything, she may have something, she might be able to answer some questions as well this morning.
Thank you.
So firstly, thank you very much for allowing a deferral of the application to today's meeting. We primarily requested the deferral really in order to respond to some of the comments and questions that had come from the member of the public. Just to be a good neighbor and make sure that we've addressed any concerns. So that was the primary reason for it. So we thank you for that. Just to give everyone a little bit of background, I'm not going to get into it too much. Bill did a great job of providing a summary, but really, initially this was started with the owners and their building starting the approval process by applying for a development permit from the Conservation Authority. And so at that time, because of the development envelope that was established through that process, we are now looking at some minor variances on the site to establish the dwelling, to provide a reasonable development envelope, including the septic envelope as well as the envelope for the house. So the regulatory area has constrained that back portion of the site, which is really the only reason that we need to ask for these minor variances. So the minor variances we would be requesting a 1.8 side yard to the north where 3 is permitted, and then a 2.1 front yard where 7.5 is permitted. So just to give some context too, and it was good to actually have that air photo up. The setbacks from the neighbors' houses are still quite significant. There's about a 23 foot setback from the development envelope to the house to the north, and about 33 for the house to the south. So they're set well back, and because of the bulb that we're dealing with in the cul-de-sac, this house will also be set back slightly as well into the lot. We did modify the site plan after we received the comments from the neighbor. We primarily just added more information. So the neighbor had wanted to know where the well was going to be located, as well as propane tanks and the air conditioning units. So we added that information to the site plan and provided that to staff to send along to the interested member of the public. And at the same time, because we had an opportunity, the builder did have a chance to speak with the septic installer. And so there is going to be more flexibility on the site. Right now, the site plan showed a sort of the maximum area that would be required for the septic. It's going to be smaller. There's also the option of installing a tertiary type system. So that will allow us to use the building envelope that's been established, and also include a porch, because everything's probably going to be able to be set back slightly further into the lot. So we did take the opportunity to just remove that front porch encroachment when we modified the site plan. Some other questions that the neighbor had were really, she wanted to know the height of the building. And so it is going to be approximately 5.5 meters in height, and there is no plan to change the established grade of the lot. So it is what's being proposed is in keeping with the scale and the height that you see of the houses in the neighborhood. So that's about it. We do concur with the staff report recommendations, and we would respectfully request approval and are happy to answer any questions that the committee or staff may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Genevieve. And I will now ask if any members of the committee have any questions. Joan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have a question, I have a comment. I was very confused after reading everything, but thanks, Bill, for explaining everything. I did get a better idea and a better understanding. And thank you, Genevieve, for your input also. So yes, I just wanted to make that known. At least I'm learning better with better explanations.
Thank you. I see no other hands. I have a question. Oh, Bill. Go ahead.
Sorry, I see Councillor Singh Soares maybe raised her hand
Oh.
just as I did. So I would.
Well, you may have additional information, and then I can go to
Sure.
Member
I just
Singh
wondered,
Soares.
sorry to interrupt. I wondered if Alicia might show attachment 2 to my report, and that gives you that aerial view with the original house design. And that's just for if the committee just wanted to have a look at that. I probably should have asked for that map, but it does give a clearer picture of what things look like on site.
Thank you. Alicia? While Alicia's loading up, Monica, did you have a question?
Yes, good morning, everybody. So just through you, Chair, I have a comment and then a question, or vice versa, just with regards to the front yard setback and road maintenance concerns, because we're headed into the winter season. So that was on my mind. So I was just wondering where the report mentions that the covered porch projection into the front yard would bring it within 0.5 meters of the Cedar Lane cul-de-sac. So creating potential issues for road maintenance, especially with snow storage. This may have already been mentioned. I just wanted to make sure I understood. If Public Works would provide more details how the proximity would specifically impact winter road maintenance and safety. And if I could just add a quick question to that, if it's related in answering, is that I just want to make sure that the staff assessment is to maintain the full 2.1 meter setback to ensure integrity of the road maintenance operations, particularly during the winter months. So I was just wondering the clarity on that and just some information for that first question.
If I may, through Chair
Go ahead,
DeBreen.
Bill.
So that was our prime concern on behalf of staff, was the road maintenance. And if you look at attachment 2, which is the air photo to our original report, it has some arrows on the road and shows you how the plow may work on that site. And that's why our recommendation was that front porch variance not be allowed. And what the applicant has done now is not remove the front porch, but move the porch back to the 2.1 setback. And so my suggestion is that is acceptable to do that, and that is in line with what our recommendation to the committee was. So Public Works didn't express anything in their written comments. We did speak to Jim. I think the general idea was the further back it could go, the better. So 2.1 meters seems to work for the site and with no encroachments into that. And that's what we're recommending. And I think Alicia, or the Secretary Treasurer, has an amended decision or two for an amended decision for the committee to look at, or to consider if the committee felt that was appropriate.
Just a quick follow-up. Thank you for that clarity, Bill, because earlier you mentioned something about 1.2. So this might be something different. Could you remind me? Did you say something about 1.2 meters?
I believe the 1.2 is on the, there's a variance of 1.2 on the north side yard. And I might have, the setback is 2.1. I might have juxtaposition.
Oh, just,
Whatever that
okay.
word is, switch the two numbers around by mistake, but it would be a
Oh.
2.1 meter front yard and no encroachments if the committee, that's our recommendation to you.
Okay, thank you, Bill. That was helpful because I was wondering where I was missing that. So I appreciate that makes a difference. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Alicia. Oh, you're showing the dwelling now, and you can see that there's no front porch depicted, and Genevieve has indicated that they're now confident that they can move or take advantage of the development lot a little bit more fully now that they know more about the septic. So I think by ensuring that there is no projection of a porch in the front, we have addressed the concern. Are there, I'm going to go to our secretary, Alicia, to advise on who was present at the previous meeting. The Committee of Adjustment requires members who hear it the first time, even for deferral, I think it carries forward. Alicia, can you elaborate on who was in attendance and who is eligible to participate in this file today?
Yes, through the chair. So per our procedural bylaw, it states that only those members present at the meeting where the application was deferred shall render a decision on the application at the subsequent meeting. So we did have 2 members absent at the September 25th meeting who will not be able to vote on the application today.
And those are member Milne and Rice?
That's correct.
So just let you know, I won't be calling for you to participate in the vote. Thank you, Alicia, for clarifying that. Are there any other members in attendance that would like to speak in support of this application? Are there any other members in attendance that would like to speak in opposition of the application? I'll ask again if there's any need for further discussion by the members. Seeing no hands, I'll ask for a mover and seconder to grant, refuse, or defer the application. Jim?
To grant?
To grant?
Yep.
A seconder? Joan? The decision of the Committee of Adjustment is to grant the application with the following conditions of consent. Be it resolved that the Committee of Adjustment receive for its information staff report PL 2024-093 and supplementary report regarding minor variance A924 by Jamie and John Allen for Cedar Lane Plan 815 Lot 4 and approve 2 of the 3 minor variances requested on the required front yard and north side yard only, subject to the following conditions: that no porch projection be permitted into any part of the front yard established by the 2.1 meter setback from the front property line established by ARC of the Cedar Lane road allowance, that the attached garage for the home is set back a minimum of 0.5 meters from the front building face of the proposed home established by the 2.1 meter front yard, and that a minimum south side yard of 3 meters be maintained with room for 1 parking space beside the proposed home, and C, that a permit from the Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority be obtained if needed. We have a motion to grant for those able to. Go ahead, Monica.
Just may I ask for just a clarity on what you read?
Mm-hmm.
Just with regards to the north side yard setback and parking, is the setback from 3 meters to 1.8 meters? Right.
That the attached garage for the home is set back a minimum of 0.5 meters from the front building face of the proposed home, which has to maintain a 2.1 meter front yard. Mm-hmm. And that a minimum south side yard of 3 meters be maintained with room for 1 parking space beside the proposed home.
Okay. Sorry, I thought that there was something about the north side reduces the setback from 3 meters to 1.8 meters.
It's
And
not in the resolution.
no, gosh, maybe I should have asked this during discussion. Apologize for that.
Genevieve, would you like to clarify? And
Thank you.
also at that, is the parking, extra parking space to the side of the garage, and that's to the south side?
That's correct. So the relief we need for the side yard is to the north. So we're asking for a 1.8 setback instead of a 3 meter setback. And then we need relief on the front yard. But we're able to maintain the required yards in the south where the parking will be. It's just there's just a few more requirements in the recommendation, but it's not related to needing relief from anything.
Oh,
If that is helpful.
so Chair, may I just follow up real quick to that?
Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Genevieve. I just wanted to make sure that that change will have a positive impact for neighboring properties. That's where kind of my thought process was going. I thought that was a good idea to go down to the 1.8 meters. So
Genevieve?
Yeah, I think it allows for a good buffer on that side. And so I think that just because I don't think Bill would be excited, or I think the intent is that to have the parking on the side of the house versus in front where it would be closer to the bulb.
okay, so Chair, this doesn't need to be mentioned in the resolution. It's already within the report, I guess.
I guess that's a really good question because I don't see it in the resolution. Bill?
Yeah, if I may, Chair DeBreen, I'm just reading the resolution at the bottom, and I think you did read it. What you received the staff report, the bottom of the agenda.
Yes.
And approved 2 of the 3 minor variances requested on required front yard and north side yard only. And then the A, B, and C are the conditions that we're recommending. So if that's the resolution that committee is considering, then you are approving 2 of the 3 variances, including the 1.8 meter. Now I'm getting confused. 1.8 meter on the north side and the 2.1 on the front.
Yes.
Oh, great. So it's included, pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you.
perfect. Thank you for that.
I have something else drafted that I don't know if it's maybe clearer, if I could share my screen.
Go ahead, Alicia. We want to make sure that understanding going forward, because someone looks at this in 5 years, then, or even in a year. Go ahead.
Okay, so it reads, be it resolved that the Committee of Adjustment receive as information staff report PL 2024-093 and supplementary report regarding minor variance A924 by Jamie and John Allen for Cedar Lane Plan 815 Lot 4, and that the committee approve the front yard reduction from 7.5 meters to 2.1 meters and the north side yard reduction from 3 meters to 1.8 meters only. The variance on front yard porch projection would be denied, and that a permit from the Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority be obtained if needed.
Are you suggesting, Alicia, that we don't need the number 2 A, B, and C in this way? You've kind of summed it up quite nicely.
That was my intent, but I see Bill has his hand up.
Go ahead, Bill.
Chair DeBreen, I'm happy with the resolution. There were 3, at least 2 conditions that are part of my recommendation. It's up to the committee whether they wish to include those or not. And the first was the parking space beside the home, which I think should be a requirement. And that I recommend that to you. And also that the front of the garage be an additional 0.5 meter back from the front of the house. And that gave you, that both of those give you parking A in front of the garage that doesn't sit on the road allowance, and B beside the garage, so that, again, with such a small front yard, we want to have room for the vehicles not to be parked on the street, especially during winter. So those two conditions were recommended. If the committee adopts the resolution as worded, those conditions wouldn't be in there.
So, Bill, what I might suggest then is that we elaborate in number 1, receive for information regarding minor variance by, Alicia, if you could put your suggestion up.
Yeah.
I do Ken Melanson, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
We're dancing
Chair
or
DeBreen,
go ahead.
I'm happy to let you finish your thought, and then I can speak after if that works.
My thought was to elaborate on the two that are being permitted and then carry on with A, B, and C.
So
So that we don't eliminate.
So if I may make a suggestion,
Go
Madam
ahead.
Chair, I would take from, I'm going to try to do this in a way that it's clear. I would take the second
Yes, please.
piece from what Alicia has provided and basically replace the introduction of item 2 in Bill's report with that, so that it clearly articulates that 2 of the 3 variances are approved. The front yard porch projection is denied. And then I would just edit it to say subject to the following conditions, and then keep A, B, and C that is in Bill's report.
Yeah, I like how
Was that kind of where
Alicia
you were
elaborate.
going?
Yeah, I appreciate second clause was really great because it elaborated on what the 2 ones were being granted, makes it very clear. Subject to the following conditions, A, B, and C. Alicia, does that make sense? And then that a permit from Saugeen Valley Authority be obtained if needed.
So we'll take this section out.
Yes.
Actually, Madam Chair, I would suggest keeping it,
Yes.
but
Okay.
then adding what Alicia has written. Like, I would actually put the portion you took out and put it first, so that
Okay.
you can then add that the other 2 variances are approved, subject to the following conditions. Yeah, so that the committee deny the variance to the front yard porch projection and approve yeah, and then you would just keep A, B, and C if that's the will of the committee. And that's how you write a recommendation on the fly.
Teamwork makes the dream work. And the Saugeen Valley, the last clause, you already have it there.
It
Okay,
is there.
so to the mover and seconder, Jim Ferguson and Joan John, the intent is still here. We've just clarified and elaborated. So procedurally, can we just ask the mover and seconder if they're okay with the slight change?
I believe so, as it's just been clarified, the intent has not been changed.
No. So
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
you're good, Joan? Are you okay with that?
Yes, I'm okay. I just got more confused, but thanks to Ken, and then I was about to change my mind to say, let it come back, but I think I'm okay now.
Great. Ken, did you want to just comment further?
Just wanted to note a minor typo, front yard projection,
Oh,
just so that we're not
front yard,
denying a
come
front
on.
yard projection.
It's in the yard. Come on.
That's a
good.
new bylaw update. I think we'll have to add to the list.
There we go, that all yards are considered. All right, so we have the motion on the floor. We have a mover and seconder. I'm going to call for any opposed. I see no hands from those who can vote, so that is carried. Thanks for the cooperation and the decision of the Committee of Adjustment is to grant the application. Isn't there a wording here that the applicant shall have? Alicia, does the applicant have 2 years in which to?
There's actually no time limitation on completing the conditions for the variance, so it was removed from the script.
Great, okay. Thank you. Adjournment. The notice of decisions from today's meeting will be signed electronically by the members who are able to vote and distributed accordingly per the Planning Act. Anyone wishing to file a notice of appeal is encouraged to seek legal advice on your appeal rights, given recent changes in the Planning Act because of Bill 185. May I have a motion to adjourn? Mover and seconder, please. Monica and Jim. It is 9:46. Any opposed?